So Caitlin, we saw you were at the game last night in the suite. Is that the same suite you were in for the swimming trials, or are you just going suite by suite?
I think I might be going suite by suite. It was weird. It felt so different being in there for the swimming trials than this, obviously. It's just the way they had it separated and had a whole pool in there is kind of hard to comprehend. But obviously my first Colts game, and even though it wasn't really a real game, it was still a lot of fun. My dad was the one that wanted to go, so he's a big football fan, so he was enjoying it, and it was fun for me too. And you know, getting to do stuff outside of basketball and take your mind away from it is really fun for myself. So hopefully there'll be a few more where I can go to that are, you know, the real deal, but the fans were pretty excited too.
I think Mina's taking care of coach, so let's just try naturally passing. There we go, Matt and James.
Yeah, hi Caitlin. Kind of on a similar vein, what's it been like to, you know, whether it's the swim trials or whether it's the Colts game, just continue to integrate into the city 4 months into your pro career?
Yeah, it's cool. Like, it's cool to see how the city supports all the sports here and the events that we have here. Like, it's a great city to host certain events in, if I'm not mistaken. Like, I think the Women's Final Four comes here in a few years, the Men's Final Four is here. It's just a great city that really supports basketball, supports all sports. And for me, like, I'm a sports lover. I grew up loving every kind of sport, watching whatever it was that was on TV. So for me, like, I try to get out and support as much as I can. And then the Indians game was happening last night too at the same time. So it was a nightmare getting home, having to drive through all of that. But it's hard to choose between you want to go to the baseball game, you want to go to the football game. But it was definitely a good weekend for Indianapolis sports with all the events going on. It would definitely be a fun one to be at this weekend in the city.
James?
Caitlin, I'm hurting out about this, and I wanted to ask you, but when it comes to your dribble drives, how much better do you think you are like hand-to-hand combat and like just getting people's hands off of you with using your hands, if that makes sense?
Yeah, I feel like I probably don't even realize what like I'm doing it half the time. I think just that was probably something I accepted more so in college. I think the physicality definitely increased over the course of my career. And then as you come into the league, like, it's just going to be more physical. That's how it is. So I think just, you know, it's going to be something that you have to accept. Like, they're not going to make calls like that. It's going to be physical. You know, but you can also be physical back with them and use it to your advantage. If somebody's being physical with you, don't let them just push you around all the time. So I think that's something that, you know, I don't consciously think about during the game. It's just something that kind of comes natural as you work on it and get more used to it, especially when you're attacking or setting up screens or things like that.
Tony?
I asked you about Kelsey after the last game. I'm curious if before being here you played with anyone kind of similar to her, any guard that you had to play with like you played with her?
That's tough. I don't know. I think she's so unique. Honestly, I think her speed, there's nobody I really played with that has the speed that she has. And the way she can finish around the rim, but also be, you know, a really good catch and shoot 3-point shooter. She creates off the dribble. I don't really think there's really anybody I've played with that is as similar to her, just from a standpoint of how she can do multiple different things. And for her size, it's really impressive too. Like, she finishes around the basket really well for her size, and she's really fast. And I think you can kind of see us starting to develop our chemistry more and more, especially in transition. I think she's really starting to read my eyes and understand exactly what, you know, I want here and there in transition. And, you know, it's created a lot of fun plays for us.
And when you walk off after wins, you've signed everything in the tunnel. I know you've talked about what that means for fans to have that moment with you. What does that mean for you to have that moment right after a victory?
Yeah, it's fun. The more we win, the more I sign. So the fans better keep their fingers crossed. The more we win, I'll sign more. And it's fun. Like, a lot of those people, like, they travel from really far to get here. I mean, there's a lot of people that come up to my parents throughout games, and people come from Vermont. I know people are here from like Buffalo, New York, and are driving all these ways to, you know, just have one experience in this gym with us. And for me, that's really cool. And there was actually a young girl that my parents ran into. My mom was actually in the Kansas City airport, and she was coming to her first ever Fever game, and she was just really excited. And my mom had one of my like trading cards with her in her purse and gave it to her, and she started crying. And I actually ran into the little girl in the tunnel after the last game. So I think it just, you know, puts into perspective, you know, how special these moments are for people, whether they meet you or not. Getting to enjoy this environment and this experience in the game is, you know, what makes really lifelong memories for them.
Go Christine, then Lou.
So Friday night, obviously first came back after almost a month, and great statement. Obviously you guys played well, you won. So now, what does this game mean? What is this, what's this one? Thanks.
I think this is a big one for us. I think if you look back at our schedule, when we've had big wins, we've struggled the next game, whether it was the Minnesota game where we went at Minnesota or whether it was the New York game here. We really struggled when we came out the next game. So I think this is a great opportunity, another game at home for a team that has beat us 3 times. You know what they're going to do. They know what we're going to do. But I think just using the crowd, using this home court advantage and really playing into that, but also using the confidence and the momentum that we built on Friday coming into this game. So I think it's a really important game for us. You know, I think it's one that we can continue to stack wins and build confidence on. So hope we can change history of how we've gone about really great wins, and then the one after that, I think this one will be good for us.
Finish up with Lou.
He was asking a little bit about your connection to Indianapolis. You seem to be getting out and doing so many things in your free time when you have it. Did you know much about the city before you knew you were coming here? And when it looked like you were going to come here, did you study up on it?
I didn't study up, no, but I mean, I was fairly familiar. I've been here a few times for AAU basketball stuff. We used to have some tournaments out at one of the facilities. I want to say maybe it's in Carmel area. They have that really nice basketball facility out there. And I always loved the area and the city, and it was always really fun. And then obviously I came here in college a couple times for the Big Ten tournament. And we won it once and lost in the championship once my freshman year. So I always had really great experiences here. The crowds were always really great whenever I played here. But I mean, I was fairly familiar. I actually grew up a Peyton Manning fan. Like I had this pink Peyton Manning Colts jersey. So it's kind of funny how everything kind of comes full circle. But yeah, I've been here a few times. I always loved it. And then ever since I've got here, I've loved it even more and more. It's been an easy adjustment. I feel like it's easy going from Iowa to Indianapolis. Like this is definitely a big city, but it doesn't always feel that way. It feels like, you know, a small community that really supports one another, and definitely people that love their sports. And I can't imagine going to a better place.